Darrell. Darrell weren't afraid of no ghosts. Oh, he'd heard all the stories about Hedley. Hedley, Hedley the Headless Biker, said to haunt the North Service Road. How he'd been decapitated by a length of piano wire strung across the road, and how his headless body drove his chopper for 5 miles, 5 miles before crashing into the ditch. And how now, his headless ghost raced his bike up and down the service road at midnight on Saturday nights. Yeah, Darrell had heard all the stories. He just didn't believe them. To him, they were bullshit. Maybe Darrell was a lot like Hedley himself. Like Hedley, he had an attitude, and like Hedley, he had a chopped-down Harley. It even had a red headlight, just like Hedley's ghostly ride. And Darrell liked to race up and down the North Service Road, just like Hedley, and he liked to ride it at midnight on Saturday nights. He even dressed the part. Traditional black leathers, German army helmet, tinted goggles. But he skipped Hedley's trademark Fu Manchu mustache. Truth was, he couldn't really pull it off. It just looked like he'd forgot to wash his face. Of course, when Darrell went riding on Saturday nights, he rode alone. His so-called buddies, the yellow chicken shit cowards, were too afraid of a dead man, of a ghost. What a joke. Although he sometimes wondered, worry was too strong a word, he sometimes wondered if the bastards might string some piano wire across the road to give him the Hedley treatment. Nah, they wouldn't dare. It was Walpurgis night, April 30th, when Darrell went riding on the North Service Road, a night when the forces of darkness take control, a night given over to ghosts and goblins, and things going bump, bump, bump. Hey, maybe he'd see Hedley. But he didn't see Hedley. Instead, he saw her. Darrell slammed on the brakes and skidded to a stop. It was unbelievably strange to see a pedestrian out on the service road at any time. But at midnight? On a Saturday night? And a female? She had been shuffling along in the gravel at the edge of the roadside ditch. Darrell wheeled the bike over to her and said, "Hey, are you okay?" The woman just stared at him. "I mean," Darrell continued, "it's weird to see anyone walking out here, especially on Saturday night. Ain't you afraid of Hedley?" "What's that?" the woman said quietly. Just some bullshit about a headless biker. As if you could ride without a head." Darrell couldn't see her very well. Hey, it was dark out there. But he could see she was short, had long dark hair, and was clad in worn overalls, with sandals on her bare feet. Her face was thin, maybe a little acne scarred, but she might be okay. He'd need to see her in a better light. "Want to go for a beer?" he said, to which she answered, "Maybe, but tell me something first." "What?" "Why do you think you couldn't ride without a head?" Darrell snorted. Was this chick nuts or stoned? Why, it's impossible to do anything without a head. "Are you sure?" she said sweetly. "Sure, I'm sure." Now he knew she was nuts. The strange woman said no more, but Darrell heard a loud plop, and as he watched in horrified amazement, her head detached from the trunk of her body to float 6 feet above the roadway. She was grinning at him, and for the first time he noticed, her eyes had a reddish glint. Holy shit, she's one of them night floater things, Darrell realized as he kicked the Harley into gear and took off down the North Service Road. What are the night floaters? Floating heads, a.k.a. night floaters or floaters, were a cult or coven of evil people that haunted Darrell's hometown. They were said to be able to detach their heads from their bodies, the heads then being able to fly or float through the night to attack unsuspecting victims, sometimes even killing them. Darrell had never believed that crap, no more than he believed in Hedley. But now he could see it was true, see it with his own eyes. Darrell tore off down the road, only to find the head was keeping pace with him. Up close and personal, he could see her hair, tangled and greasy, flowing behind her as she flew. He could also see her thin face was scarred by acne, her chin pointed like a wicked witch, the eyes red and feral. She stuck her tongue out at him, then flew towards him, as if to butt heads. Darrell swerved and well, it seemed he had pissed some people off. People willing to commit murder, willing to string piano wire across the North Service Road. Piano wire that now cut Darrell's head clean off. The head then plopped into the nearest ditch with Darrell's chopper crashing down on top of it. Darrell, his chopper, and his decapitated head were found next day. There was no sign of the young woman. But then again, the night floaters don't really exist, do they? The whisper stream in Darrell's hometown still claims that night floaters are real, and that a headless biker still rides the North Service Road at midnight on Saturday nights. But is it Hedley? Or is it Darrell? What do you think, dear listeners? But allow me to float the following. No one you meet for the first time, no man or woman, is worth losing your head over. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the night floaters, werewolves, and the black-eyed children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs. Till midnight. Cheers. Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix here, that's PX here, while the music was the classic Lightless Dawn by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.